Hello everyone, welcome to another video log of Artica. Today I'm going to talk to you about WatchDog. We call WatchDog to this application that monitors other applications running on a computer. And for interactive installations, it's particularly useful when you can't be looking at the computer all the time. You want an application to be monitoring all the other applications that should be running, and if one of them crashes by some reason, it restarts all of them again, so you make sure that the application, the installation is still running as it's supposed to. We did a lot of watchdogs for different projects. Since we are working here at Artica, we do lots of interactive installations and physical computing installation things. So we did a lot of different versions of it for different clients, different products, and we ended up wanting to use this opportunity of the physical computing research and development project that we have running right now to redo this, and with an open source approach. So if you currently go to bitbucket.org/artica/artica_watchdog, the address, you have it right here, you have our new open source version of our own watchdog, with a little description, how you can change it, how you can run it, how you can compile it, and some example configurations on how to use it. And on this video I'm going to give you a short overview, or a succinct overview of what it can do and what we want it to do in the future as well. So I have the project opened right here. And how it works, actually everything is configurable through an XML file. And this XML file can be more complicated than it is right now. This one is the most simplest versions possible. And what we have is the default watchdog object, and we can configure it to send email notifications of when the applications on our system crashes, or when watchdog launches or relaunches. We can configure it if you want to send the information by email or not. There are some additional parameters where you can configure what mail it sends from, what email it sends to. We tested it with Gmail, so that works. And yeah, you can configure also the time that the applications that watchdog takes to relaunch all the applications once it notices that one of them is down. In this case, we have it for 5 seconds. You can also schedule a daily reboot. In this case, it will reboot at 3 a.m. each day, or if you launch the computer and launch watchdog and it's past 3 a.m. on today, he will notice that I haven't done the reboot today yet and will reboot the machine, and at the same time save a date file where it tells you what was the latest reboot date. So that's what it uses. All the information from the watchdog is stored on app data folder under watchdog. So you have here a reboot date file, which will say the date of today. It already rebooted today. It rebooted today at noon today, or at midnight today. And then it has the logs of its operation, and you can also save some status checks on the machine. I'll get to that in a minute. So let's keep mentioning what features it has. You can set the timers for when it checks what applications are running, how long it waits until it does the first check, and how often it will recheck them. These are these two timers right here. It has the same for the status, for things that you can check the status on. I will show you an example later on. And then you can also monitor the memory of all the processes. This is a bit intensive, so by default it's false. But if you are having some memory leaks on the computer and you want to check the computer, you usually turn this on and you can log all of the memory usage of all the processes. And have that on log, so you can analyze it later and figure out what is making the computer be unstable. And then you can have a list of applications listed here. You have to list the friendly name that it's looking for. It goes look for this name on the list of processes currently running. And if it doesn't exist, you will try to launch it. It will also kill all existing instances when it initially starts, so we can be sure that we are only running one instance of each application we want monitored. How long it takes until the application actually starts from the restart, the arguments that the application takes in case you want, for example, this is useful if you want to run Node and call some things after it, like a specific JS file. You can include Node here and put on the argument you can put the file there. So this is useful for all sorts of things. If you want to launch Google Chrome on a specific kiosk mode, you can also use that in arguments here, so you can do that kind of thing. You say what file name, you are actually executing the type of window that you are using, if it's a normal one, if it's full screen. The topmost one means if the window will be on top of the screen or not. If it will be, we can have it configured to do automatic push into the top, so it's always on full screen. And you don't have, for example, if you log in via TeamViewer and it's not authenticated, when you leave, you will have TeamViewer laying there with a pop-up, and we don't want any of those pop-ups. Also, sometimes the OS itself wants to update something and gives you a pop-up. So in this case, if you have the topmost equals true, we will make sure on WatchDog that the application is always on topmost. When we check them, we will trigger the focus to be on that application, and what directory it's supposed to be working on. We also have a check for the maximum size of RAM it uses. So this is useful if you have an application which is having some memory leaks, and it only happens like once every 3 days. It accumulates for so long, and finally it explodes. You will see that the RAM will slowly increase in time. So we can cap it here and say, okay, if it's using more than 10 gigabytes, we will shut down the application and relaunch it. And this helps us minimize the problems that we have on installations. We can have multiple of these applications here, not just Paint launching, but other ones as well. And then we can have status checks. And status check, actually, let me open up example. Status check looks something like this. It's here. I'm gonna copy it from here because it's a bit hard to read. You can place it here, just a normal line in the configuration file. And what the status check does is every once in a while we will check for different status of the machines which can be triggered. Here I list all of the arguments possible, but you can just include a few. For example, if I want to only ping a certain machine, I can do that. Every 2 minutes I will ping the machine, and I remove everything else, and this will be the only check that it does. Then I can do another check which once every minute, I can do it like this, once every minute it will list all the programs currently running. It will also list the directory contents of this directory here, users. It will check the uptime, for how long the machine has been running. It will also check if a certain task is on the task scheduler. In this case, I'm going to check if Apple software update is listed on the task scheduler. And I will also do a telnet check, which means that I will send a telnet request to this IP right here with this message and expecting to receive this one. And I will write on the status file if I got the expected response or not. This is stored on a special file called status. It has the date and the time of when it was created. So you will have a lot of these status files. And here you can see how it looks. It's a JSON formatted file. If you listed all the programs, it will list you all of the programs right here and the CPU that it had at the time, and that kind of information. The listing path that it looked for, the response that it got. In this case, C users only had this file on it, desktop.ini, for how long the machine has been running, and all kinds of things. Okay, so what else is worth mentioning? So yeah, you can have multiple status checks, as I mentioned. You can have multiple applications as well. I'm gonna run it real quick so you guys can see. It requires administrator permissions. As you can see, it auto-launched MS Paint, which is the application it was configured. If you double-click on it, you have this little menu. Here, all the logs are added incrementally, the same that are listed on the WatchDog log file. So you can real-time check what's happening instead of having to open file all the time. Then you have another tab called Process List, where you can click refresh and get a list of all the current processes on the system. And this is useful when you want to add a new application to the WatchDog. Like, for example, I have Notepad++ running, but I didn't know that the name of the application was Notepad++ itself, because when I go here, it says Notepad++, but with a capital N. And if I go to Task Manager, it doesn't give me the friendly name of the application. I see Notepad++ in capital, but I don't know what the actual process name is. So to help identify that properly, we did this feature where we list all of them here, so you know that this is the name that you should include here on this part. Like, for example, this part we had a trouble finding MS Paint because we tried Paint, we tried Paint with uppercase, we tried Paint.net, Paint.exe, and it wasn't working. That was because the friendly name is called MS Paint and not Paint itself. So yeah, this is pretty much it regarding WatchDog. Let us know if you guys have any questions. It's completely open source. It only works for Windows right now. Because that was our main goal of the project. If there's anyone interested to porting it to other platforms, you might as well do it from scratch, I think, because the core is different between platforms on how the system operates. But, well, this is open source. You can change it, do other stuff with it. We have a tab here that's currently not being used, which will be used for listing the configurations and loading and saving different configuration files. By default, it loads the configuration file from, let me show you real quick, Artica WatchDog. It loads you the configuration file that is listed on the config. So if you go here to the line, you have WatchDog config XML, and this is the one XML file that will load, which is also on the same root of the file, so you can see it here. But you can save this file with other names, and you can change it and that kind of thing. So you can have multiple configurations ready to load if you're trying to do other things. So yeah, let us know what you guys think, if this is useful, if this is not useful. If you want to do any forks of this project, go right ahead. If you found any bugs, feel free to let us know. And yeah, hope this was useful. See you next time. Bye bye, take care.